So this is very exciting. This is our first broadcast from the Ryerson Loft. So it's such a pleasure to be here on this Thursday afternoon, the 22nd of Mar Cheshvan. Actually, it just occurred to me, today is the yurtzeit of the world-renowned philanthropist Joseph Tenenbaum. So his neshama Shahav and Aliyah. Joe Tenenbaum was built the Eitz Chaim, the Beit, or Sameach, many major institutions. Besides the other institutions that he created, I'm going to mention Louis Schutel, just something fascinating. What he did was, in terms of philanthropy, was brilliant. He was a major developer in Toronto, and he made the charitable organization, meaning the Tenenbaum Foundation, an owner of his company. So therefore, if the company did well, the tzedakah received more money. And so I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, probably none of you, but the company is actually now closing down and they're selling off all their assets. So what will happen to the tzedakah, the Tenenbaum Foundation, is that they're actually going to walk away. So when they sell a property for $100 million, the charity will own that property, or this part of that sale, whatever, the 5%, I have no idea what the number is. And what will end up happening is that all the money from all the sales of all the properties will be put away, and the interest from those properties will go to support the tzedakahs that Joseph Tenenbaum founded. And JLIC was actually a beneficiary of a part of the tzedakah money a couple of years ago, so we have a Akar Satov to the Tenenbaum Foundation, and tremendous insight. I don't know if you guys appreciate that. So this way, no matter what would happen, because they were worried, if let's say you have a grandfather, a Zaidi, who's a philanthropist, you don't know what's going to happen to the children and grandchildren. This way, by making the charity an owner, the charity is guaranteed to have money sitting there to dispense to various tzedakahs for who knows how long. So brilliant, and that was Joseph Tenenbaum, who actually I knew for a number of years as a child growing up. Okay, when I was a child, not when he was a child. So I decided to do a 3-week series on Chesed, and this idea came to me because of a little bit of the situation in Israel, where I felt we had to maybe step up a little bit more Chesed. It's the Parshiot in the Torah of Chesed with Avraham Avinu, and I think it has great fascinating halachic scenarios and challenges and opportunities, as well as I want to end with a beautiful, tremendous insight by Rabbi Soloveitchik that I think you're going to find quite mind-boggling. So I think if you combine everything, it's really a great topic. But I think in order to understand the mitzvah of Hachnasat Orchim, I want to ask the most basic question. What is Hachnasat Orchim? So if you define the word Hachnasat into English, how would you define it? Bringing in. Isn't that interesting? We don't even realize that the real word of bringing in guests. So it's an active verb. It definitely says something about the mitzvah that I need to bring them in, right? Don't leave them outside, bring them into one's home, to one's space. Now what's an oreach? It's a guest. Now you're going to say, come on, Greenberg, what type of question is that? I think, like, hello, we know the word guest means. True. But here's my question. Are all guests the same? When I say that I'm performing the mitzvah of Hachnasat Orchim, does that mean I have a nuclear family, and anybody outside of that family is considered a guest? And if you think that I'm being silly, I'm going to tell you that Hachnasat Orchim will be such an important mitzvah, it might even trump certain laws that we're familiar with and forgo them because of the value of a guest. We know that in halacha, there's a hierarchy. Right? What comes higher, Pikuch Nefesh is high. Yeah, but Zara trumps Pikuch Nefesh. Right? We all know the various types of hierarchy that takes place in halacha to understand a person's priority in life. So, Hachnasat Orchim, under certain conditions, will trump Shabbos. Meaning, not driving, not writing, but certain things, Hachnasat Orchim will trump. Okay? In certain areas of halacha that you'll never ever encounter, but I'm going to throw them out as well, just because good to know. So, what do you think? What is an oreach? Anybody outside my nuclear family? Is an oreach only a specific type of, a definition, a certain type of personality, a certain type of, what do you think?
Anyone who doesn't live in your house?
The moment I invite someone who doesn't normally live in this house has the definition of a guest. Wonderful. Anyone else maybe propose something else?
Someone you don't know?
Has to be a stranger. Has to be a stranger. Why would you say that?
Well, the two examples that I can think of right now in the Torah of Hachanasat Orchim, Abraham and Lot.
Good. Okay. Very good. Last week's parsha, they brought in total strangers. Good. Yet the definition is a guest. A guest means someone not in your family. Yeah. What would you like to say, Shir?
I said I disagree with him.
With? And therefore, why you think a guest is?
I think you can do the biggest types of help. The greatest kinds of help start from someone you know.
That maybe it is someone that you do know. What about your family? Like your kid? No. Your parents? Yeah. Your sibling? Is that Hachnasat Orchim too?
I mean, like, I'm not convinced, my parents don't do Hachnasat Orchim when they're next to me in the house, because that's just being nice to people that you live with. But, like, I think my brother goes on Hachnasat Orchim.
Who's married, I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. What about if you have a kid who's married, or the opposite? You invite your parents over to your new apartment. Is that Hachnasat Orchim? I mean, it's for sure Kibud Avayim. That's for sure, right? Okay. Good, these are all really important questions. And they're going to be fascinating when we pin them up against different types of other important elements in Jewish law. But I think in order to appreciate, I think we need to see the source. And what is the source? Last week's parsha. Let's take a look. Please join me. We are reading from Perek Yudchet Pasuk Aleph. Vayera Elav Hashem be'elonei Mamrei. So who's the Elav? That's Avram Avinu. Where? Elonei Mamrei. Vehu Yoshev Petach Ohel Kechom Hayom. Where's Avram sitting? Outside, by the threshold of the tent. What you're going to see is fascinating. Over the next series of psukim, all I want to do is put on my Achnasas Orchim glasses. Meaning, I want to look at all these psukim through the lens. I want to look at it from a very myopic view. I'm not saying it's the only way to look at it, but I want to look at these psukim through the lens of Achnasat Orchim. Okay, now I can read that pasuk again. So God appears to Avraham, and he's sitting by the threshold of the tent, Kechom Hayom, in the heat of the day. Why is it relevant? Well, where he's sitting, and why is the temperature relevant? Do we see anywhere else in the Torah where it tells us the temperature? Or it tells us that it's like the heat of the day? Maybe daytime, but it sure doesn't tell us Kechom Hayom. That's not relevant. So thereby Yonah, it says that God made it extra hot for him. And what does Chazal say in this pasuk? The fact that the Torah tells us that it's the heat of the day means that there's something to it. There's something intentional. And what did God do? Take a look, please, at source 4. Hotzia kadosh baruch hu chama mineratika shalol lahatshvicha ba'orchim. Avram Avinu, he's 99 years old. He just had an operation. And God said, I know how pained Avram would be if he couldn't do Achnasat Orchim. So what will I do? I'll make it. And maybe some of us recall from our days in Israel, 130, 125 degrees Fahrenheit, 42 degrees Celsius. In the Middle East, in Jerusalem. It's hot. And why did God do it? You know, like sometimes the city of Toronto puts up like a weather warning. So weather warning, UV index very high today. People with heart and blah 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 should stay indoors. That's what God did. Why? Said no, I'm going to travel. But travel warning: do not travel. Weather alert. Be a weather person. You can be wrong and still have a job. It's amazing, right? So here we go. They're calling for high UV index. Everyone stay home. But then what happened? So to speak, God's plan backfired. And he saw that Avram was so distraught that there were no guests. What did God do? God brought him guests. That's what Chazal learned from the lens of Kechom Hayom. What about Yoshev Petach HaOhel? What do you think about that one? Why is Avram singing? Why does it matter where he's sitting? Answer?
That's what Orchim's on his mind.
No, he has to be able to see what's going on. If you're inside your tent, you don't know what's going on. But he's by the threshold, he's by the door, he can see people. Excellent. Next pasuk. Vayisa eina vayar. Avram looks up. And what does he see? Hinei shlosha nashim nitzavim alav. He sees 3 people who are probably standing towards him, or before him. What does he do? Or coming towards him. Vayar vayara tzlikrata mipedach ha'ohel v'yishtachavu arza. He sees them, he runs towards them from where he's situated, and he bows down to them. Anybody want to propose what are the key words in this pasuk from the lens of Achnasas Orchim?
Vayar, vayara, it's all the verbs.
Very good. He looks, he sees, he gazes, he notices, he runs. Excellent. Very active. Avraham is an active pursuer of Achnasas Orchim. If you want to invite guests, you need to be active. I don't know too many cases where you can passively be in your home and guests just show up. You know, I guess it happens if you have a reputation for Machnas Orchim, because you've at some point in time you got to be very active to have that reputation. So you got to be active to invite guests, right? Usually, if you're passive, strangers don't just knock on people's door, and even sometimes friends don't even knock on friends' door, right? Good, active. What else?
Need to give him kavod.
Excellent. Vayishtachu arza. Bows down to them. As we're going to see in a few moments, he's going to call himself a servant. Avdecha, I am your servant. Avram is 99. If I was a betting man, I'd say these strangers were younger. Or, I guess if they're angels, they looked younger, right? Yet, Avraham gave kavod, gave honor and respect to others. And this is Avraham Avinu, who's a dignitary, who has a reputation for dignitary. It doesn't matter. Chazal learned from here that you need to treat your guests as noble men and noble women, not just how you doing, casual sense, but much more honor bestowed to our guests. Anything else? Fine, let's go on. Vayomar. Who's speaking in Pasuk Gimel? Avram. Let me read the pasuk. I want to ask you, who do you think he's speaking to? Adonai imna masati chen beinecha. Al na ta'avor me'al avdecha. The second word is referring to whom? Who's the either?
Hashem, or he's calling his guests his master.
Very good. Everyone see the ambiguity? Now, what does he say? If I found favor in your eyes, please don't pass before your servant. Okay, let's play this out. If it's God, or if it's the guests, or the strangers, the travelers. Let's go through the God scenario. If it's God, then what's he saying to God?
Don't leave me. I want to continue this conversation.
I want to continue this conversation, but I got a job to do. What's that job called? Achnasas Orchim. Was the other possibility?
Or it's Malachim.
Talking to these angels. Now, what's the problem grammatically?
Singular.
Singular. Answer, Rashi, who I didn't bring. Answer, Gadol. He spoke to the head of the three. Come on, just like Jews, there has to be a chief, has to be an Indian. Everyone can't be on the same level, right? Someone has to be in charge. So whoever was in charge, Gadol Shebahem, is one that he was speaking to. Okay. Gemara, source 2. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav. Gidola hachnasat orchi mekabalat pnei shechina. The Gemara in Shabbos on Daf Kuf Kaf Zayin says, how great is hachnasat orchim? It's greater than kabbalat pnei shechina. It's not referring to like kabbalah, right? Then greater than receiving the divine presence. I don't know what that means. What does it mean to receive? I don't know what that means. But how do Chazal understand it? It means having a conversation with God. God is having some type of communion, discussion, interaction with God. And he basically says, time out. Guess. Now, you don't have to translate this pasuk as referring to speaking to God. It could just be, based on pasuk Aleph, that God appeared to him. Yet he's still, you know what it's like? If you've been to like the kosher second cup, and you're sitting there, and you're talking to somebody, but you're really doing this? Right? Right? Because once he's coming in, right? It's a little bit rude. I'm sure no one here does that. That's why, by the way, when I go, I know a few people, so I always try to go in the corner in the back. That's why you can't really see or be seen. Helpful. But if you have a seat and look in the front door, you're like toast. Everyone makes argument with the person that you're trying to meet with and talk to. They're finished. They're a goner. There's nothing's going to happen there. So, even if you want to tell me that Pasuk Gimel is referring to guests, not God, or these travelers, and by the way, the Pshat might indicate that, because who's the previous Pasuk talking about? The guests. So it makes sense to talk about the guests, right? Fine. But it doesn't matter, because Pasuk Aleph is God still appeared to him. And if God appears to you, and what are you doing looking out for guests? We see here how great Achnasat Orchim is. That there wasn't chutzpah, so to speak. So that interpretation is exactly what is in that God's talking, but that's the conversation. There's a Rambam, there's a Rashbam, conversation for another time. Let's move on. And by the way, the subtlety is the Gemara in source 3, Gemara in Shavuos, which actually says, is this word, meaning this second word in Pasuk Gimel, is this Shneim Adonut, meaning God, or is it referring to master? Let's go on. Pasuk Daled. So now, for sure, start the guess. Yukach na me'at mayim. Will you please take right now a little bit of water, rachatzu raglechem, to wash your feet, v'sha'amnu tachat ha'etz, and you lie down and you rest under the tree. Now, what's strange about this pasuk, at least the first half, is what's said. We're going to see in a few moments that when it comes to the other things that Avram provides, Avram is magnanimous and very generous. When it comes to water, for them to wash their feet, is cheap. Me'at mayim. Why is Avram saying to these guests, take a little bit of water, wash your feet? Say, take water, take a lot of water, take as water as you need. And as opposed to food, where Abraham waits on them, how come the water, he says, guys, take it yourself. You kachna, take a little bit of water. Why is it that for this is so different than the other things that Avram provides? Anyone want to take a guess? And through the lens of Achnasat Orchim, phenomenal. I did not know this until I came across it a couple nights ago. Yes?
He's in the middle of the desert.
Yep.
And perhaps Achnasat Orchim, the extent to which you're treating your guests shouldn't be at your expense. Meaning, if you only have a limited amount of water.
Right. Okay. Could be, but he's going to be very generous. First of all, he's not in the desert. He's a Mamre. It's a metropolis.
True, but it's Kachal Mayom.
Okay, but that's an exception, right? You know, there's no batzoret, there's no famine, there's no. So listen to this. Imagine you come to my house, and I'd say, "Oh, Daniel, let me get you some soap and water. Wash your hands. Let me wash your hands for you with soap and water." You're all giving me a look, right? Why is that strange?
You're implying that.
Why?
That
That your hands are dirty?
Like something you do.
Something you do yourself. This was understood. If I say you're dirty, you need a lot of water and soap, that's insulting. If I say just take a little bit of water, it means your feet aren't so dirty, but you probably want to scrub a little bit. And let's face it, it's a little bit too personal. Like, I'm not a nurse. This is not like a healthcare relationship here. So you'd walk into my house and for me to scrub your hands, a little bit too personal. You know what I'm saying? So it comes to a certain point in time where even Avraham, and again, this is the value, is you have to recognize what are the needs of the guests. Don't impose on them things that would make them uncomfortable or inappropriate or not socially acceptable. Right? That's weird. There's no mitzvah to be weird. Some people think there's mitzvah to be weird. There's no mitzvah to be weird. I haven't seen it anywhere. Some people are very quirky with certain things that they do. I can mention a few examples, but I'm not going to right now. All right, let's go on. Next passage. All right, we're going to move a little bit faster. I'll give you guys a bit of bread. I will take bread. Stick around, hang out by me for a little bit. Yes, we'll do as you requested. And Avraham, with a sense of expediency, went to the Sarah's tent. Go prepare 3 se'im worth of flour and knead cakes. And everyone runs and he takes a bakar, soft and good. They tell him, gives it to the lad. Who's the lad according to Chazal? Yishmael. He takes milk and he takes probably butter and milk and this bakar. And he gives it place it before them, and he stands over them while they're eating. While they're under the tree. Okay, what can we learn? And I ran through them pretty quickly. What can we learn from these last couple of psukim? 1, excellent. He runs and he runs and he does it with expediency. Beautiful. What else? What else?
Give them the best.
Give him the best. Rachvatov. Excellent. What else? Include other people in the mitzvah. By the way, all these things are brought down. Isn't that amazing? Include other. You want to do the mitzvah? Wonderful. But include your household. How do you teach people? By example. But by example also means allow other people to get involved. You know what they say, right? A good leader doesn't do it all himself. You have other people helping you. Other people participate, contribute. Let them feel part of it. Let them feel that they have what to contribute. And they can. What else? Excellent. How'd you know that? Do you remember?
What?
Do you remember that? Or you just occurred to you now?
Yeah.
You remember? Right. Avraham offers, I'll give him a sliced bread. And he produces a 4-course meal. Wonderful. Fine, let's move on. To the page. Just to show you how important this concept of Gadol Achnasat Orchim Mekabalat Pnei Shechina, the Rambam, who's not interested in the Mishnah Torah to offer hashkafa, he does a little bit. In the laws of Avel, source 5, Parak Gadol Alachabet, talks about Achnasat Orchim. Look at that second line. Gdola Achnasat Orchim Mekabla Pnei Shechina Shenemar Vayar V'nei Shlosha Nashim. Rabbi says this is important, this is halachic. And he quotes what we just read before. Wow. Achnasat orchim has a halachic status. I want to give you two cases of where halacha says it's so important to do achnasat orchim, you can dispense perhaps an Issur D'Rabbanan. Take a look, please, at source 6, Hilchot Shabbos. Otsar shel tvua shel chadei yain. I have a big storage house. Imagine a room like this, filled with jugs of wine, barrels of wine, and wheat. Af al pi shmutar listapek mimenu. Even though I have enough, asur latchil bo lifnoto. I'm meaning I have in my house enough food to eat for Shabbos. And what Chazal didn't want you to do is turn Shabbos into your spring cleaning, or I guess this time of your fall cleaning, right? Where we say, oh great, Shabbos, what am I going to do? I'll clean out my storage house. Is wine muksa? No. I can move it, I can schlep it, why not? No, says Chazal, don't do it. It's not muksa per se, it's wine, but your Shabbos shouldn't be cleaning out the garage. Fine. What other? Lifnoto ela l'dvar mitzvah. But if you're cleaning out your storage house for dvar mitzvah, it's permissible. Kagon. Shepinuhu lachnis orchim. Why is it that you want to remove these barrels of wine? Achnasas orchim. That means if anything else. Or the kibbutz bet midrash, or set up like a bet midrash. Okay, fine. Isn't that neat? What do we see from here? We see from here that there are certain isurim that the rabbis had that were pushed aside for a dvar mitzvah, as even for achnasat orchim. I'm going to give you an example of where we do things for dvar mitzvah that are asur to do usually. Have you ever seen the top of a nice silver crown on a Torah? Often they consist of bells. A bell? You can't ring a bell on Shabbos. All of a sudden, you have these bells on top of this. Do you need it? You don't need it. What? Oh, the Sefer Torah is kosher, only has a bell on top? It's ridiculous. It's for a kavod of the Sefer Torah. Permissible. So we see, are you allowed to do business on Shabbos? No, chas v'shalom. For tzedakah, you're allowed to. You give someone a liyah, you charge them $36, $180. You people, Simchas Torah, people raise money on Shabbos for tzedakah. It is permissible. Why? Chazal, when they said business, they meant business, not the tzedakah business.
Flying land in Eretz Yisrael.
Right? So the Gemara does talk about a case where you could have a non-Jew sign a deed on Shabbos to buy land. That's based on the principle, which is similar to this. Shvut to shvut, b'makam mitzvah, or the tzorach Rabbi is permissible. The double D'Rabbanans for certain cases are permissible. Right? That's the idea. That asking a non-Jew to do something is D'Rabbanan. Here's a problem, he's signing, isn't that a D'Oraisa? Anyways, there are definitely situations, or it could be that's a chiddush. Is that usually you need a double D'Rabbanan, and here he's even allowed to write, which is a problem because of the great kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. That's how many people understand it. Okay, look at the fourth one. Oh, I'll give you another example. Are you allowed to make ice cubes on Shabbos? I get this question every year.
No. Yes. Can you do it? It's for
No.
the next day.
Yes, no, depends. Why do you say yes?
Because I've asked this before, but I forgot the answer. But the answer is yes.
You say no. Why no?
Because ice and water are different entities.
Look at source 7. Tzitz Eliezer says, Hakafa'a hanaseh b'mekarer. He's referring to something that freezes, which is in a refrigerator, but he means a freezer. B'machalim u'mashkim, with food and liquid. Nechshav kinasim alehem. They're done by themselves. Ve'ein kan mishum molid. Not a problem of molid. V'gam ledat atruma sharama machmir. He's machmir to chumra ba'alma. Why? Because of no light. So we see here, it's a machloket. Really, mikaradin is permissible. There's a chumrah, we don't like it. However, yesh latir le'et hatzorech. You're allowed to permit it for need. What are the needs? Le'tzorech orchim, for guests, or oneg Shabbos. Oh, what does it mean, oneg Shabbos? Tish, what does it mean? No. I love ice. You're gonna drink cold pop? Like a popper? You're gonna not have your iced coffee in the summer on Shabbos afternoon? That's like it's like writing on Shabbos not having iced coffee Shabbos afternoon for some people. For oneg Shabbos you're allowed to. So Friday night you use your ice cube trays up, you'd be allowed to make ice for Shabbos lunch because of oneg Shabbos. Or achnasat orchim, maybe guests are gonna come.
So you're really fasting like this?
Yes.
Are you for real? That's
Yeah.
so exciting.
What would be a problem, everybody, is if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon this time of year and Shabbos is over an hour or two, that would be a problem to make ice. This is a big nafkamina for chicken soup Friday night. You want to put away your chicken soup Friday night. You're not having any more chicken soup for Shabbos. You can't heat it up. So once you're putting it away, can you put it right away into the freezer? Right? Everyone agrees you have to put away chicken soup. But ideally, you want to put it in the freezer, not in the fridge. Are you allowed to or not? So if really mikaradin, we see you're allowed to. There's no lad. If you want to be machmir, like the Rabbi who says, yeah, be machmir, then don't. And let's face it, freezing chicken soup can't be for guests on Shabbos. Right? So you don't have that same heter. So we see from here, again, hachnasat orchim, bringing guests. Now, here's a question. Oh, one other thing I will tell you. You will probably never encounter this your entire life, just because we live in the modern world. When you take meat, and you need to kosher meat, if to draw out the blood from the meat, we're like going way back. We're not talking like buying meat for package. We're talking like the shechting has. They must salt the meat. That's all. It has to be salted. Melicha. You need to salt the entire area. So here's my piece of meat, gotta salt both sides. However, if you have guests and you're pressed for time, you can only salt one side. The question is, that's a big kula. That's halacha that's brought down. No one does that today, right? We would never do that today. But I want to show you that in halacha we see for guests, we can dispense. Again, we're not going to say you could drive on Shabbos, you could ride on it. We're not going to say that. But for certain cases, we will, certain durabanans, we will set aside for guests. But here's the question. What's the definition of a guest? So, I have 6 minutes to define guest and to read something about Rav Soloveitchik. That's our plan. Okay? 6 minutes. Here we go. Go to source 6, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Word 1, 2, about 5th word, 6th word. After that, semicolon. Velo mikre orchim. What are guests? Says the Rama. Velo mikre orchim. Ela shenit archu etzlo bebeito. You want to know what a guest is? They must have home hospitality. It's a very difficult word to translate. What does litareach mean? That means sleep, hang out.
To be guested.
To be what does that mean, right?
To be hosted.
Be hosted. Or shizimen orchim shenit archu etzlo acherim. Or your neighbor has them and now everyone's over your house. Aval kishezimen chavero lisod etzlo. You invite your friend over to have a meal. Lo mikre orchim. That's not considered guests. You were in high school class with them. You're Ryerson with them. They're friends. Ve'ena sudat mitzvah. It's not a sudat mitzvah. Meaning, if you have a guest, your meal is a sudat mitzvah. Isn't that unbelievable? You've transformed your meal into sudat mitzvah by having a quote unquote a real guest. But if you just have your friend, your high school buddy, sudat reshut. Just a regular meal, and that doesn't have the halachic definition of a guest, we could dispense certain rabbinic precepts. Okay? Now, it's a little bit ambiguous, because it doesn't say about sleeping or not. Take a look at the Pitkei Tshuva in source 9. He talks about that if you have a Talmud Chacham and you have someone poor, rich, they say that even a rich guy is poor when he's a guest, when he travels. Why? Because when you travel, all your money is back at home. They didn't have debit cards in those days, where you can, or your credit card, where you get rich everywhere you go. As long as you have a card, right? Okay, but they said even a wealthy person when he travels has a status of a poor person because he has no wealth on them. Okay, take a look, please, at the second last line from the bottom of the Pitkei Tshuva. V'hu. He argues on him. And Visiyam, and he concludes. Lechatchila lo yazmin itzlo chaviro. Don't invite a friend over. Meaning, don't invite. I grew up with a guy called George. We were in school together. Don't invite George over for a meal knowing that you're going to have to rely on the leniency of only salting one side of the meat. Don't be like, oh, I'll invite George over. It'll allow me to prepare my meat faster. I get to eat. Oh, but George, come over for a meal. That you're not allowed to do. It's not appropriate. But I invited George to come over. George, oh my goodness, George is going to be here in a few minutes. I don't have this kosher meat ready. I need to salt it. If you've already invited him, you can salt one side. Meaning, what is the Pitkei Tshuva quoting? That even a friend that you went to high school with, that's in class with you, might even have a status of a real halachic oreach, and you could rely on a leniency because of it. Amazing. Even your buddy. The poskim talk about guests from out of town, for sure from out of town, that they're sleeping over by you. I've said Talmud Chacham. By the way, this has nothing to do with tzedakah. Tzedakah is a different topic, right? Two different things. One is orchim, one is tzedakah. Now, they could, double header if the person is poor, for sure. But nonetheless, they are a separate mitzvah, and that even if it's a wealthy person, it's still considered achnasat orchim. This is why I never understood why people are very machmir sometimes to start Pesach Seder very late or Sukkot very late. If you have guests, many people often do, you're just pushing off, everyone agrees that it's already nighttime for Pesach Seder. Why are you choosing a more machmir time that your guests get upset? Why is one halacha more important than the other halacha? Not so simple. So we see achnasat orchim is a very, very important halacha. And I want to end with, I'm telling you, this is a beautiful passage of the Rav Soloveitchik. Now, it's a little bit Kabbalistic. You should know, Rabbi Soloveitchik learned in a yeshiva that was run by Chabad. And when his father discovered that they were only learning the Tanya, he pulled them out and he homeschooled them. But the Rav knew the Tanya basically Baal Peh, and it was actually very, very close to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Very close. They were in university together in Berlin. And they came together in America. That's not my point. What I'm trying to say is there's a Kabbalah answer here, which I don't know if you're familiar with. Are you familiar with the concept of Tzimtzum? Where God had to shrink himself to create the world? Right? How can God, who is infinite, create a world which is finite? The answer is he had to remove himself. This is a Kabbalah. Very important concept. Very, very important. It has major ramifications. But I want to show you one of them right here. This is an absolute beautiful passage, and I could not find a better conclusion and parting words better than this. Here we go. It's from the book Abraham's Journey. The Almighty is the great Machnis Orchim. His hospitality made it possible for humanity to exist, for the world to become into being. To be means to share in the infinite being of the Almighty. The Almighty, like Abraham, invites people to partake of his boundless existence. Creation is an act of achnasat orchim. Our sages, and he quotes the Gemara in Brachot, said that Avraham was the first person to invoke God by the name Adonai. This name is of Druidic origin. God owns the world in Druidic terms. Not only does God run the cosmos de facto, but the cosmos in his de jure. You can see this is the Rav's words, right? The language he uses. This is unbelievable. We are just strangers whom the Almighty has invited into His tent, which is the universe. How beautiful is the doctrine of tzimtzum, of contraction. What is creation if not withdrawal by God in order to make it possible for a world to emerge in space and time? Infinity steps aside and finitude is born. What is Hachnasat Orchim if not withdrawal by the master for a part of his home so that a stranger can occupy the empty part he vacates? If you want to bring someone into your house, you have to leave the room and invite them in so they can have a bed and they can have a place at the table. So you need to contract. You have to remove yourself, your family, your presence from your home to invite a stranger in, just like God had to contract in order to create the world. And therefore, by us inviting guests into our home, we are literally imitating God in the act of such a behavior, which is why Chnasat Orchim is such a powerful mitzvah, and why it's like Doma L'Shchina, and why it is that perhaps it is more important than being Mekabel Pnei Shchina because of its beauty. Anyways, words to think about, which we don't have time to deal with, are if you're dealing with a guest, does that absolve you maybe from going to minyan? Maybe you mizman tefillah. What happens if you deal with a guest and you don't have time you're going to miss davening for a male or a female, right? Interesting things that, as I'm sure you've all had familiar with, having guests at your house, it kind of throws your schedule off. So how much you just say, you know what, my schedule is thrown off, but I have an oreach here. That maybe takes precedence over perhaps things that I want to accomplish. Food for thought. This is the bottom of the page is from the Sefer from Rav Shechter, who actually quotes in Rav Soloveitchik these types of issues. Feel free to read it, during your lecture, your subway, whatever the case may be. But I'm going to end there for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.